Dana White looks like his mistress just took off her wig and it was Oscar De La Hoya. New mythical fighter unlocked. Dricus fights like DOO-DOO Plessis.
Yep.
Let me break it down for you. DOO-DOO Plessis was feeling himself way too much. He was flexing on himself and admiring his own physique when he should have been locked onto his opponent. He was still preoccupied with the crowd hating him. And what's the point of fixing your deviated septum if you're still gonna have a big old booger clogging up your airway anyway?
What's that, brother?
Dude was a mess, as opposed to Chimaev, who came in focused and ready to go. How ironic that people were concerned about his cardio when he's the one that came running into the fight. How ironic that people were concerned about his cardio when Dricus was the one that was breathing like if he was born without nostrils. How ironic that there's been this non-stop narrative of everything that DOO-DOO Plessis was able to accomplish while he had a deviated septum. But nobody ever talks about the fact that Chimaev still has one. That's right. You didn't know that, did you? It's not a big talking point for Ariel Hawini. Khamzat Chimaev has a deviated septum. He had a deviated septum, and he still has one. He even delivered it like a Mitch Hedberg joke that one time. I used to have deviated septum. I still do, but I used to too. And he was still able to do what he did. And he did it to a dude with able-bodied nostrils. By the way, a lot of people believe that Chimaev was born with a left palate, but that's not the case. He busted his face open when he was 2 years old. He had a really bad fall, which ripped his mouth open, knocked some teeth out, and left him with a deviated septum. Imagine just colonizing South Africa with only 50% breathing capabilities. Also, imagine making fun of someone's physical deformity, and then you come out of the fight with a similar deformity because now your mouth is all chueco. So chueco that you had to go straight back to the surgeon that did your nose job and dip out on the press conference. By the way, if you think I'm being hard on DOO-DOO Plessis, this dude never stops running his mouth on Twitter. He went as far as calling Chimaev inbred, which is an ironic thing to say because we just found out that Chimaev is his daddy.
You are the father. One and done. You gotta be kidding.
Oh, we also just found out that Chimaev has zero problems with his cardio, just like I tried to tell you. There's already a narrative that Chimaev doesn't have stamina, and now Dillashaw's talking about, hey, he's good, he's gonna win this fight because he's working on his stamina, and now everyone's talking about his stamina, and it's a diversion. Chimaev has good stamina. I told you that he only appeared to struggle with cardio because he was out of his element when he abandoned his game plan. And his coach was trying to tell him the same thing. I told you that he'd be fine as long as he stuck to the game plan. He's good with stamina as long as he doesn't deviate from the game plan. And now people are saying that he's boring. First, he didn't have the cardio to go a 5-round fight. And now that 5-round fight is boring. You know what I think is boring? 2 5-round fights against the social media destroyer. How come no one talks about that one? Now, I don't want to call them casuals, but only because I feel like it's an overused word in the MMA community and like it's lost a lot of its power. So they're definitely still casuals by definition. I just don't feel like saying it. So I'll let someone who almost everybody in the community has a great deal of respect for say it for me.
Anyone that says it's a boring fight is a casual, okay? No offense.
I actually like how Brendan Schaub put it. And if I'm willing to quote Brendan Schaub in my video, you know I'm unbiased. He said that what Chimaev did was like pitching a no-hitter. It may not be the most exciting thing to watch, but in and out itself is extremely impressive. To call this fight boring is to be ignorant. It means not truly understanding what you're observing, and therefore not having the capacity to appreciate it. Let's say you're a huge fan of DOO-DOO Plessis. You think he's entertaining to watch, has a great skill set, great heart, great cardio, great power, etc. How is it not entertaining to watch all of that be completely dismantled and shut down? And not by a flash knockout or a fluke submission, but by someone calmly and methodically imposing his will for 25 minutes. By someone just saying, no, no, no. That's straight up artwork. Imagine if Chimaev was in there with the gorilla, or Thanos, or Ramzan Kadyrov, and he was doing to them what he did to DOO-DOO Plessis. Not beating them into a pulp and finishing them, simply imposing his will onto them and rendering them helpless. You would be losing your minds because of skill and technique. The only reason that you would call this boring is if you're a hater and a DOO-DOO Plessis fanboy. I like this comment that someone left on one of my videos. They make a great point about the onus being on Dricus to do something about it. It's not Chimaev's fault that he was helpless and not well-rounded enough. At the other end of the spectrum, someone else in my comment section was complaining about love taps and hugging. And I believe that my response to this both summarizes the entire fight and the fallout afterward. Imagine being a world-class fighter, a champion, and not be able to break out of a hug. People are criticizing a lack of significant strikes and what they like to call hugging. But why aren't they criticizing a dude that has no answers for it? That's embarrassing. Some people are saying that maybe he's not opposed to a long hug. This is what's being referred to as the Dricus DDP theory. But I'll leave that one to Jesse on Fire in case there's any confusion whatsoever regarding the narrative of this event. Take a look at these faces right after the fight. This is what Mackenzie Dern looked like when she found out she had to pay alimony to her ex-husband. Did you see Dana's face? This is what John Jones looked like when he found out they weren't gonna let a black man fight at the White House. Dana White looks like his mistress just took off her wig and it was Oscar De La Hoya.
I'm a lady. Oops. No, I'm not.
Whoa, there it is. Okay.
Woo.
Could these people be more obvious? I know the ref couldn't be more obvious. Mark thinks he's Goddard. Let DOO-DOO Plessis get away with 60 seconds of control time. And I'm talking about the way DOO-DOO Plessis' toes were controlling that cage. Maybe Goddard's not a foot guy. I don't know. But I also know that he allowed it to go on for 60 seconds. So maybe he is a foot guy. There were 3 different instances in which he had his toesies through the cage in rounds 1 and 4. And they totaled 60 seconds. I know this because I watched it over and over and I timed it. I watched this so much that my lady started tripping when she walked by because she thought I was on OnlyFans. Dricus was pushing his toes so far through the cage that he almost poked out his coach's eye, which again, may have been intentional. See Jesse on Fire. 60 seconds is absolutely insane and unacceptable. And I wonder if it had anything to do with that plot armor.
Because be honest with me, how do you beat Khamzat Chimaev?
Man, I've got plot armor.
Mark trying to play Goddard needs to answer for this. He was too preoccupied with trying to make Chimaev deviate from his game plan. He was foaming at the mouth for any opportunity to stand him up. I can't believe he didn't try to stand him up during a crucifix. If Jason Herzog was in there, he would have stopped the fight in round 3. Maybe you don't believe it was enough for a stoppage, but you better believe that if it was the other way around and DOO-DOO Plessis had Chimaev in the exact same situation, Goddard would have stopped it. He was landing just enough significant strikes here. Drew first blood. And Dricus was not intelligently defending himself. Game over. The only response that Dricus had was the constant oil checks. He was on that Les Schwab jitsu. Let me tell you, after all that cage work, I could definitely identify DOO-DOO Plessis' toesies in the lineup. But I can't tell you what his thumbs look like because they were hiding in a Chechen cave during the whole fight. I bet you his thumbs smell like DOO-DOO Plessis. It's as if oil checks were the only thing that DOO-DOO Plessis and his coach were training, which, again, that's how some camps get down. See Jesse on fire. But it was not effective, and they were clearly unprepared to deal with the crucifix, and they had plenty of opportunities to make adjustments. This fight had more crucifixes than the Vatican, and the irony is that people are accusing Chimaev of that lay and pray, but it was Dricus who was laying and praying because that was his only option. As he lay there in the crucifix, he uttered, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Because Dricus was thinking like some of the casuals out there, that a new boring champion was being ushered in, but that's not the case. That's the narrative. He's not out here to play it safe. DOO-DOO Plessis was stalling and stalemating at every opportunity. There's also the fact that Chimaev and his coaches plan to go 5 rounds to prove the world wrong. So there's that too.
The boy is always saying, bro, it will be good for us if you go 5 rounds, so for the next fight. So we're gonna have, that makes us better fighter today. So happy.
He probably could have had some of those submission attempts, but that wasn't the game plan. He could have choked him out in round 1, and then everyone would still be talking about his cardio.
Great job. That was awesome.
Did I guess out?
But still, Chimaev is representing Chechnya and has to answer to Kadyrov. He knows he can't make him look bad with boring fights. He's already unsure of his fate when he lands back home because he didn't get the finish.
If I don't die, I will be here.
He was making sure that he didn't look too celebratory so that Kadyrov doesn't get the wrong idea. He didn't want to be anywhere near that belt. If you're having some trouble with wrapping your beanie around the vast differences of these two fighters and the depths of what they're dealing with in real life, take a look at Dricus after the fight. If Chimaev had lost the fight, we would have already read an article about his untimely demise upon landing in Chechnya. When it's not life or death, when you could party hardy, whether you win or lose, then this starts to make sense. If there's one takeaway from this fight, it's a reminder that BJJ is useless. As I almost completed my editing of this video, DOO-DOO Plessis has finally released a statement. It looks like he's gonna go to Dagestan for 2-3 years and forget.